everybody and welcome! My name is Ryan and today I will be taking you through one of the victory conditions in Civilization 7, the Cultural Legacy Path. 3 ages for me to guide you through, so get yourself comfortable and let's go. We start first in the Age of Antiquity, and to begin we're going to go to the top left hand corner of the screen and click the Age Progress Trophy. We can see the 4 legacy paths available in every age. Today we're going to be looking at Culture, Wonders of the Ancient World. Now on most legacy paths there's a little button to press here to track progress. I would encourage you to do so. There's also a sequence of 4 quests to have a little read of. The game is going to guide you through the legacy path, and it does a pretty good job of doing it. Of all of the 4 legacy paths in the Antiquity age, Culture is probably the easiest to understand, but is likely one of the harder ones to complete. House 7 world wonders in your empire. Beware, you have to build the world wonders. Conquering them does not count. Take it from me, you make that mistake only once. Fairly simple, right? Build 7 world wonders. Well, where are the world wonders? Well, most of them can be found in the civic tree. You start at chiefdom and you quite quickly realize that most civics in the game, including their masteries, have an associated wonder. Mundo Perdido, De Chakaran, Gate of All Nations, Terracotta Army, Emil Belt. There are plenty to find across the civic tree. In fact, I believe Chiefdom, Mysticism, and Future Civic are the only civics in the entire tree without an associated wonder. The way you're going to produce a wonder is by using production. This is a yield obtained from your city and used only in cities, not in towns in the same way, to produce buildings and wonders. Now, some tiles give it to you if you've improved them, like this mine gives me 5 production. But there are also buildings that you can place. For instance, I have a brickyard in this quarter, which is giving me 3 production, and a blacksmith in this one is producing 10. I've also gathered a lot of resources in my capital to produce the production that I need to win this age. You can see we've got hides, cotton, wool, lapis lazuli. There's a lot of things giving me production. Wonders that you unlock can be found at the bottom of the build queue. Be aware that a lot of wonders have very specific criteria for where they can be built. So for instance, the Oracle has to be built on rough terrain. If we select it, there's only actually 1 tile in my city that can produce it. Emil Bell has the same criteria, so if I build one, I won't be able to build the other. It's also worth bearing in mind that wonders can only exist in 1 city in the entire map. Your opponents will also be seeking to build them. So for instance, if I was building Pyramid of the Sun, there's nothing to stop Himiko above me from also building the same wonder. And actually, if she builds it first, mine would get destroyed and I would just lose it. You get to keep some of the production for your next build project, but it's still highly annoying. So keeping good visibility over the map and making sure that you can see who has what wonders at all points can really help to make sure you prioritize the right places. As previously mentioned, towns don't work in the same way. Production is converted to gold and nothing can be built in towns. So if you want to build wonders, I would recommend you have multiple cities. For instance, I have a second city on the left hand side of my empire which is currently building great steel. If you've got the gold, in theory there's nothing to stop you from producing loads of cities and having very few towns. That would give you multiple avenues to produce your wonders. Look out for wonders that give you benefits to building other ones. For instance, the Monk's Mound, which is a wonder that can be found right at the end of the Antiquity civic tree, or because I am the Mississippian civilization quite early on in my unique civics, this wonder gives me +4 resource capacity in the settlement, and this is one of the main reasons I can fit so many resources in this city. Producing that wonder makes a lot of the other wonders a lot cheaper. Be aware as well that every single civilization has a culturally connected wonder that can be unlocked on their separate civic tree. You can normally unlock it earlier than anybody else, and you get a production boost towards building it, as well as some narrative events, so always look to focus on your associated wonder. It can often be very handy. And whilst some wonders can be found on the science tree, such as Hanging Gardens and Great Steel, most of the wonders are on the civic tree, so make sure not only you have a lot of production, but keep your culture as high as possible as well. The earlier you unlock a wonder, the less competition you have. Eventually, the game will guide you through building them. You'll get 2, then 4, and then 7, and with any luck, you'll end the age with 7 in your nation. If you're looking to practice this particular legacy path, this is one of the few that works really well if you're playing on a small map. map. The less civilizations you're playing against, the less people you have to compete for wonders. Also be aware that there are several social policies and traditions in the game that boost the production of your cities and sometimes can give production towards wonders. Toolmaking, for instance, will give production to the palace, and being classical republic also can give you production towards wonders if you choose that celebration. Easy to understand, potentially difficult to execute. We now advance to the Age of Exploration, the second age of the game, and find ourselves with a different legacy path, Toshakana. In this legacy path, we need to display 12 relics in my empire. Again, the game will take you through a sequence of steps to help you to take relics. Firstly, we need to study piety. This is one of the first civics of the game. You can find it in the regular tree right here. Unlocking piety unlocks the temple building. I popped mine on this tile. As soon as your first temple is created, you then have the option to form a religion. In this particular game, I chose Shinto, but there are many options for you to choose. You then get to pick a reliquary belief. Now, there are multiple beliefs in the game, but the aim of these is to provide a way for you to produce relics. I picked icons, 2 relics for the first time conversion of a city-state. What is a city-state? Well, you'll find them scattered around the map. They start as villages with black banners, but with some diplomatic favor, they begin to have this white background. How do I convert them? Well, any city with a temple can be used to purchase or produce a missionary. These units are plopped onto the map and have a number of charges and some movement. Simply take your missionary, move it around the map, and convert the cities you need to. Most settlements around the map will require 2 charges to convert them. 1 to convert the urban population, aka any urban tile which has buildings on it, and 1 charge is needed for the rural population, all of your rural improvements like fishing boats, farms, and plantations. The only exception to this is a settlement that has no religion. The first time it is converted, a single charge will convert both types of population, so it makes sense to get out there early. As you go through the age, converting settlements will unlock relics for you. You can see that I've collected 14 of them across the age. These then are displayed across your empire, in palaces or in temples. You only get 1 palace, so you have to produce multiple temples. It's also worth bearing in mind that you can pick a founder belief that gives you some sort of associated yield for having your religion spread across the world. Later on, you can also enhance your religion by going through the specific theology civic tree. There's only 2 to look at, theology and reformation, but both of these will give you bonuses to do with your religion. The trick is to make a religion as quickly as possible and to spread it as quickly as possible. Let me show you an example. This is turn 1 of the exploration age. I purchase in a temple building, and we are then presented with the option to create a religion. Pick a symbol and pick how you would like to receive relics. Every single way of producing relics all require you to spread your religion to other people, and a lot of them involve spreading your religion in distant lands. Pick something that you think will work well for you, like converting a civilization settlement producing treasure fleets. As you go, make sure you're putting more temples down and continue to invest in as many missionaries as possible. The quicker you move, the less competition you have. Also keep in mind that there are a couple of relics scattered around the civic tree. The Mastery of Society provides one for you. The Mastery of Social Class does the same, as does the Mastery of Sovereignty and Imperialism. Certain wonders also provide a few as well. The House of Wisdom in the Society Mastery produces 3 and has 3 relic slots to go with it. There are also a couple scattered across the tech tree, such as in the Education Mastery and the Architecture Mastery. Compared to the difficulty of the Antiquity Age Culture Legacy path, the Exploration path is relatively simple. Just make sure you get a religion and spread it, and you probably will be fine. And if all else fails, find somebody else who has relics and conquer theirs. And you now find me in the modern age, where for the first time, the legacy paths lead to a victory condition. The culture path is called Geographic Society, and in a very similar way to the exploration age, I need to house 15 artifacts in my empire. Remember to press the track progress button. To start this off, we need to research natural history, one of the first civics in the modern civic tree. You can see it at the bottom. This will unlock the explorer, effectively essentially an archaeologist who can extract artifacts from the ground. By this point of the game, you probably will have a pretty good sense of what the map looks like, but exploration is key. You need to see all of the ground you can. Now, when you select an explorer, you will see this little box appears on the left. Every continent has a different amount of artifacts available to it. Now, if I go back to turn 1 of this save file and we buy in our first explorer, you'll see at the beginning, we are not able to see how many artifacts there are. On each continent, you must visit either a university or a museum once. You can see here, I have a university in my own land, and we're on the continent of Atlantis. Now my explorer is on this tile, I can now press research artifacts. This will reveal every single artifact on this continent to me. I now click on him, I can see there are 4 out of 3, and they now look like little dig sites. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember, you're looking for 15, so it's very, very crucial that if you're going for the cultural path, you have to go for natural history very quickly. Everyone will rush it, and once they're gone, they're gone. They also cannot be traded. I cannot, however, see on the other continent where all of the artifacts are. I would have to bring my explorer over to the university on this continent and perform the same action. Later into the game, you can see that we have found 11. We found these by digging up all 6 on my own continent and starting to dig up those on the other continent. There's still not enough, so how do we get the rest? Especially in a game that is heavily competed. Well, rushing along the top of the civic tree will give you the Hegemony civic. This enables explorers to research artifacts buried since the Antiquity age. What this means is, just like we did at the beginning, we can find another bunch of artifacts that have yet to be uncovered on my first research. Think of the game giving you the artifacts in 2 different waves. So start at natural history and rush to Hegemony as soon as you can. The second way of picking up artifacts is to receive them via narrative events. If you build multiple culture buildings, such as a museum, you can find this in natural history, or if we go to the tech tree, buildings like the Opera House. These narrative events can often provide artifacts to you, as can becoming the suzerain of a culture city-state. You can see it by the little purple music sign. Finally, overbuilding buildings from a previous age in a city or a settlement can often give you artifacts. So for instance, if I want to take a schoolhouse and place it into my city, you can see I have various options such as place over temple, place over observatory. These 2 tiles, I would be overbuilding a previous building that was on that tile before. Now it's not guaranteed, but try and overbuild as much as you can, because often these will trigger narrative events very quickly. Once you've accumulated 15 artifacts in your empire, you unlock the World's Fair victory condition. The World's Fair itself is quite simple. It is simply a project that can be placed like a wonder in any city with a production queue. It's quite expensive, just like a regular wonder, but completing it will win you the game. It's as simple as that. To do this, have high population and high production in a city, and potentially think about putting resources in to speed it up. But if all goes to plan, eventually you'll see this wonderful little cinematic, and you'll know that your game is won. Finding the artifacts is incredibly difficult. The project at the end is probably the most simple, so hold in there. And whilst that is the main portion of information, there's a couple of things to consider when setting your game up. Certain leaders, specifically the ones that have cultural as an attribute, are a little bit better than others when it comes to going for this cultural victory. Augustus, for instance, is fantastic at purchasing culture buildings in towns, something you normally can't do. Catherine the Great can also give you extra yields from putting great works in your empire and can convert those into fantastic science. Frederick's Baroque persona can produce great works when you capture settlements. Hatshepsut is fantastic at building wonders, and Himiko's High Shaman persona can catapult you through the culture tree. Hyose Rizal's extra narrative events can produce more artifacts, and Xerxes' Archimeid persona can produce large amounts of culture just from creating trade routes which you'll need to build the wonders. And finally, have a look at Mementos. Cultural attribute points are always handy for boosting your culture, but also for the various benefits that you can receive from going through the culture tree. Other great options are Eagle Banner, which gives you science for every great work a city contains. False Beard gives culture for wonders. Ureus can produce wonders for you quicker if you're under competition. Incense Censer can boost your culture for every trade route. And there are various other culture cards that can boost the pure amount of culture you receive every turn. The Cultural Legacy combines multiple assets of the game, from building wonders to collecting collecting relics and artifacts. Focus on production and gold, as well as the culture yield, and you'll be fine. Thank you so much for watching. See you all next time. Goodbye.